Hello and welcome to The Couch, Season 2, Episode 2. We're going to be doing our Week 1 recap. This was a very, very good Week 1. The best Week 1 I've ever seen. And I'm really looking forward to talking about it, but I don't think I could talk about anything else but Bills-Ravens. What a game. What a game. It's a perfect way to end the first Sunday of football. I think that the Ravens had so much momentum during the game, it kind of seemed like they weren't going to lose. Even though the Bills were scoring, I mean, they were down 15, you thought, hey, the Bills were competitive in this game, but the Ravens were just too much, and that, they looked like the Super Bowl winning team. I mean, that Zay Flowers drive where Lamar found him for like 40 yards, and then immediately they hit him with a little bubble screen, and he took it to the house. I watched that, and I was like, oh my goodness, they are going to win the Super Bowl. And then just, a few mistakes, and the Bills are back in it, and then they win. And also, I have two things from this game. The first one's a little bit shorter, so I'll talk about that first. But why did Jair tackle him? I'm going to be so honest. There's no harm in not tackling Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman caught a big catch right at the end. If he had taken it to the end zone, the Ravens could have gotten the ball back. If he had made that mental error. And then instead, Jair gets his ankles broken and trips him up, and the Bills run out the clock and kick a field goal. I mean, there's still the chance that they missed the field goal, I guess, but it was from like 20 yards out at that point. I don't think they were going to miss it. That's not a super huge thing. I think that he should just let him and let the young guy make the veteran move. And then the other thing is the Ravens' decision to punt the ball. Now, in the game, I thought, yes, just punt the ball. You're at your own 38. You're up by 2, and you're going against Josh Allen. But your defense has stopped Josh Allen throughout this game. The reason that they just got in it was because of Derrick Henry's fumble. It wasn't because your defense couldn't do anything. And I think that the decision to punt was not the worst one. Now, I totally understand if you're a person that's like, hey, they should have gone for it. They have a 3-time MVP in Lamar, and he needs to go out and give the ball to him. He will figure it out. It's 2 yards. I don't hate that, but I also think that the decision to punt was not the worst. Yeah, it's 40-41. Neither defenses were playing great. But at that point in the game, you say, hey, look, my defense was doing good up until the last 5 minutes. I don't think that it's that bad of a decision. And honestly, it would have worked out. It would have worked out in most cases. But it's Josh Allen. And I think that's the one factor. If it was Mahomes or Allen, I think you have to go for 2 there. But I think that the decision to punt is, it's not like they were at the midfield. That's a little bit different. They were at midfield maybe, but they're at the 38. You're essentially immediately putting them in field goal range. They could have just run out the clock then. They could have, if they gotten a first down, if the Ravens went for it, didn't get it, the game's over. Just the same way that, if you punt it and they get into field goal range, the game is over. So I think that you're putting the game all in one play instead of forcing out multiple plays from the Bills if you punted it. But, yeah, what a game. All-time game. Lamar played amazing. Henry played amazing. He still has all the juice in the world. He's never going to fall off. I think he's going to keep playing until I'm 50. Very, very good game from the Ravens. I was disappointed in Jair. I thought a lot of the big plays were, had to do with him in a negative way. And I want to see a bounce back, from that. But, Allen played amazing. When they really let him loose, that was when they started getting hot, and I think that they're going to have to keep doing that throughout the year. And Keon Coleman, have a day. Huge day. Just amazing game. great way to go to sleep last night. Phenomenal. But all of the week 1 games were pretty much good. I mean, there were a few games that were kind of just, mid but there was really only 2 blowouts or 3 blowouts. Dolphins, Colts, obviously. We're going to talk more about that later. Lions, Packers. Really worried about how the Lions looked. And Commanders, Giants. I mean, 21-6, I think was the score. And I don't know if you could categorize that as a blowout, but it just seemed like the Commanders had, hold of that game the whole time. The Giants never really put any threat to the Commanders. But I want to talk about the Thursday night game, the Eagles-Cowboys. What a way to start the season. Especially if you're an Eagles fan like me, I was losing my mind. Okay, first on the kickoff, someone is like tearing their ACL. What? And then before the first play, Jalen Carter spits on Dak Prescott and gets throws out. And I don't care. I don't really want to talk about the Spitgate stuff. Like, Dak spit first. Yeah, he spit first. He didn't spit on him. Jalen Carter just shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have gotten kicked out. Or shouldn't have done that so he didn't get kicked out. It put the Eagles in a hole, and if we had lost that game, the whole narrative would have been around him losing us that game because it was pretty damn close. But I think that the defensive player who almost lost us that game more is Adoree Jackson. I mean, you could clearly tell the whole game plan was throw it to whoever he is covering. It seemed every big play in the first half was going straight at Adoree Jackson. And then Ja'Cory Bennett came in the second half and played a lot better. I think Adoree Jackson still came in. He still played a little bit in the second half, but Bennett was taking, I think, more of the snaps. And they played better. But I'm really worried about Jackson and Bennett. I think that that's going to be a lot of teams' game plan. Like, let's just throw it at one of these guys the whole game because, no offense to these guys, but they're not that proven. They're not potential defensive rookie of the year candidates. They're not top 10 corners in the league. They're going to target you, especially when everywhere else on the defense is so spectacular. I was worried with how much pressure, especially not being able to sack Dak Prescott in a couple of those plays. But I think that's kind of an outlier. I think they were still able to get to Dak, just could not finish the play. And also Jalen Carter isn't there. I mean, you can do a lot more when an all-pro caliber player is not there with the offense. But I did think the Cowboys' O-line looked really good. Their run game obviously looked good. Dak was really surgical, really quieting the critics. I am kind of a Dak critic. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. I feel like I have to be. But I honestly don't mind Dak that much. I don't hate him. I think that he's really good, and that's why it's frustrating to go against him. And now we have to go against Jaden Daniels too. It's rough for the Eagles because both of them are playing like they should, and it's frustrating. But going on to that, we got and Jahad Campbell looked amazing, so good. I am so happy that he looked as good as he did, and I'm really interested to see what happens when Nakobe Dean comes back. I don't know if they're just going to put all 3 of them out there and just say, we're going to put our best guys out here, especially if there's, if they're worried about Adoree Jackson or Ja'Cory Bennett, they could potentially just put Mitchell and Cooper DeJean out there and then have 3 linebackers. I mean, obviously not every down, but I think that if that's the primary group they go with, I'm okay with that. We'll just have to see what Vic Fangio cooks up. And then we had Chiefs-Chargers on Friday, which was another really good game. I was really surprised how well the Chargers were doing without Slater. I think they gave up 2 sacks to, the Chiefs defense, who honestly kind of looked unable to stop the Chargers at points in this game. And I was really worried about that because, watching that, I assumed that the Chiefs' defense was going to be the biggest factor in this game because last year I thought their defense was fine, and it I think it won them a lot of the games because they were able to keep opponents low scoring, and then the Chiefs could dominate the time of possession. But they kind of did the opposite. They only ran the ball 11 times outside of like Mahomes scrambles. And then the penalties killed them too. I mean, had 10 penalties, and then 4 of them were on Jawan Taylor. And that is ridiculous. I think it was very similar to last year's season opener where Jawan Taylor was just getting flagged. It felt like every play. It felt like every play he was doing something wrong. And so the Chiefs really did not have a good showing, despite only losing by a score. This wasn't the cleanest Chiefs game. And for a team that has been to so many Super Bowls or deep runs in the playoffs, you would think that they wouldn't struggle with these things. And I think that, honestly, they will be a lot better later in the season once they start cleaning these things up, if they can clean these things up. But I think they definitely got to get more involved on the ground, and especially until, like, Rice comes back. Because right now they have Worthy and Kelsey, and anyone outside of that is really not making a huge impact. And so I think they're going to have to be, able to run the football. But if they continue to get pre-snap penalties and stuff like this, it's going to keep moving the back. They're not going to be able to run the ball as much, and they really need to clean that up. But the Chargers look really good, and it's going to be really hard to tell people that Justin Herbert is not a top 5 quarterback. And honestly, it's like this top 7 group is just getting smushed together right now because they all looked so phenomenal in week 1, except for Burrow. Burrow didn't look great, but other than that, they were all very, very good week 1. So we'll see how that plays out in the rest of the season. And then Jets and Steelers. This might be my worst take. I said that. I predicted the Steelers win, so I got that right. But I did say, this is going to be a snooze fest. Take the under on extra points. And I couldn't have been wrong, okay? Way higher scoring, especially because it felt like, how in the world did these two... I mean, the Steelers made the playoffs last year, but how did these teams switch quarterbacks and get better, essentially? I mean, obviously there were other things, but this was a great game. I watched it. It was so good. Justin Fields looked great. The Jets' offense looked really great. They were doing what they needed to do. Hall looked good. Fields looked good. Wilson looked good. They were able to keep that core productive throughout the game. And then the Steelers, wow, got Kenneth Gainwell involved a lot more than I expected. I think that, Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns. He looked amazing. And if he continues to look like that, there won't be a problem during the season. But I am still hesitant to think that this might be not a regular occurrence. I mean, he threw 4 touchdowns. But I think that if he continues to play at a level like this, they're going to be fine. I just don't know if that's going to happen yet. I want to see 1 or 2 more weeks. Because he had a few throws in that game that really shouldn't have been completed or should have been picked off. I mean, the DK catch was, wild, and then it hits off 4 different people and then just lands in his arms. And then he had a few throws that were pretty bad, and it could have been picked off. They were, I am still hesitant to say that the Steelers team will be super, super good, especially with the way their defense struggled against the Jets. But really great game, really, really fun watch. And then Bucs-Falcons, another game. Ibuka had a day, got me 23 points at fantasy. I will never, ever get rid of him at this point. He's my GOAT. But really, really, really good game. Young Hoku, I think he's officially washed now, missing the game-tying field goal. I feel like he's kind of got a reputation, or at least for me, that he just always misses these kicks. If they're 30, if they're farther back than 40 yards, I feel like he misses them. I need to look at, let's see. Young Hoku field goal percentage. I want to look at this. I feel like I knew this was going to be a close game, and I picked the Bucs to win, but I was really impressed with with how well the Falcons played. I want to see his stats all time. Yeah, he's perfect from 20 to 29 yards. He's perfect 29 yards and under. He's missed 4 from under 40, but as soon as he goes from 40 to 49, he is 48 of 63. And then 50 plus, he's 29 out of 40. That is not good. That is really bad. And it's about kickers are so interesting because they decide so many games. Like Moody almost single-handedly lost the 49ers the game against the Seahawks this year, and like multiple games last year because he would just miss critical kicks. And it's so interesting because it's like they do one thing and it's so specific, and it's like not a big need until it becomes this apparent. So we'll see how that plays out. All the late window games were really good. 49ers, Seahawks, that was a good game. Texans, Rams. Look, the Texans did not look good at all. I don't care what you say. They did not look good. They put up, I think, 6 points against the Rams defense, which isn't really that great. And I was very concerned watching this Texans team. And I really don't think that they're going to do that well this season. In the last episode, I talked about how I think they're kind of in the middle of the pack because their offense is pretty loaded, but the line is just not there at all. And their defense is spectacular. They scored 9 points, but they didn't score any touchdowns. I want to see how many sacks they gave up because I feel like Stroud was pressured all throughout this game. Okay, there it is. Yeah, they had 2 turnovers, 11 penalties. Where's sacks? Yeah, they gave up 3 sacks. And Stroud, I want to look at the pressure. I wish that on like ESPN they would give you the advanced metrics. Like I know that they have them. Like, can you just put them here so they're really easy so I don't have to go to like 8 different websites? Anyways, but I was going into the game. The question was the offensive line, and it was we knew the answer beforehand. We knew that the Texans weren't going to win this game because their line is so bad. I mean, they even got the fumble at the end of the game to go down and potentially win, and they just completely gave it up. So I'm not very high on this Texans team, but it was a good game. It was close and a lot of fun to watch. Raiders Pats was another good game. Genty's debut. That was a lot of fun. And like I said, like these two teams, it's like I said last week. These are two teams that much improved in the offseason. They did a lot. There's a lot of change, and you saw how much better they got. And it was really exciting to see Drake May in year 2. But yeah, what are some of the other games? Cardinals Saints, Lions Packers. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Actually, I want to talk about the Broncos-Titans game, and then we'll talk about that. The Broncos-Titans game, that was really good. I think that Cam Ward played pretty well for his rookie debut. And I think that the receivers let him down a lot. There were multiple drops, especially at the end of the game when they had the chance to go down and tie it. Multiple drops, and I think that there were some, struggles with the pressure that he was facing. But I think that this is a good sign for Titans fans. You know you're not making the playoffs this year, but Ward looks good, and that is all that matters. So maybe if they get some other pieces around here, and maybe they get another receiver, and to me, the receiver they should go for is Tyreek Hill, because the Dolphins look absolutely abysmal. I want to transition to this Colts-Dolphins game. I just wanted to touch on how good Cam Ward looked against Denver. And actually, Denver kind of struggled a little bit more than I thought, but still was able to win. But yeah, Dolphins-Colts. I think everyone kind of thought the Colts were going to win this one, but not in this fashion. I mean, Daniel Jones cruises past the Colts. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown. He looked pretty dang good. And I don't think that this is the biggest surprise. I think when they named him the starter, people were upset because they want Richardson to develop, not because they don't think Daniel Jones can operate in this offense. We saw Gardner Minshew operate in this offense a few years ago when Richardson was hurt, and they looked decent. I mean, they almost made the playoffs. They were literally a drop away from making the playoffs. And I think another thing is the backlash from Daniel Jones was that he's the starter for the season. There's no chance that he gets benched. Shane Steichen said, hey, like, he's the starter. And so I think that is the controversy of the Daniel Jones starting, because I honestly thought that Daniel Jones was going to be fine. I think that he kind of did a little bit better than my expectations, but honestly, I was really impressed by Daniel Jones to go out there and put up a pretty decent performance. Now, against what seems to be the worst team in the league in the Dolphins, couldn't get anything done on offense. Tua had 3 turnovers, a fumble, and 2 picks. It was very, very bad. The Colts defense looked great though. But yeah, it was a blowout pretty early on. But my main question is, why no Anthony Richardson in the second half? Why? Why are you doing this, Colts? Look, Daniel Jones is not your answer. He is not the answer. I know that he just played great in this game, but he is not the answer. Why are you doing this? You are up like 20-some points. Just put in Richardson. You might as well, or at least for a series or two at the end of the game. Like, I was just so annoyed that he didn't get a real chance. Colts versus Dolphins. I want to pull up the score. Why are you taking me to tickets? What? Yeah, 33 to 8. Yeah, never even put Richardson in. He didn't pass anything, didn't run at all. Like, I just think it's so silly to not put him in and let him develop. Because this is the whole thing. He needs reps. And then in these times where you're blowing people out, you're the Colts. You're probably not going to be blowing people out a lot. And you don't put him in. You don't give him some reps. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And that really aggravated me. Because I was super happy that Daniel Jones did good. But, wow, I was very annoyed that they didn't put Richardson in at all. And then, look, the Dolphins are going to have to figure out how to do something. If this is the way they continue to play, and it's like week 4, Tyreek's getting traded, Waddle might get traded, Tua's going to get benched, Mike McDaniel's going to be fired. I mean, it's going to literally implode, because this is like 2 seasons ago, or was it 2 seasons ago? They put up 70 points. They were an offensive juggernaut, and then now it's like, did teams just somehow figure out the answer? What is going on? And so, if Tua continues to play like this, it is truly abysmal, and Mike McDaniel will get fired or he will be benched by week 4. And I think that, honestly, they should just go ahead and trade Tyreek. I don't think that he really wants to be there. Like, with everything in the offseason and the comments he made, like, just trade him. Get what you can for Tyreek at this point and just start the rebuild. Yeah, because the O-line is so bad. I mean, you saw it in the preseason game against the Bears, how the Bears' backups were dominating. They got a goal line stop against the Dolphins starters. Like, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the last thing I kind of want to talk about. Like like the main thing I want to talk about. And that was Parsons' debut. Micah Parsons' debut with the Packers was lackluster in his own personal stats, but not in game effect. Okay, he only had a sack. I think it was literally the only stat he recorded. 1 pressure, 1 sack, 1 tackle. It was all just that. It was just that one play. But the team had 4 total sacks on Goff over a pretty good offensive line. I mean, they've lost Frank Ragnow, but still, it's a really good line. And they even were able to force interception. The defense played as a whole played great. They held a very, very good Lions team to not a lot of points, and were able to win that game pretty decisively. And last week, before the game started, I said that the addition of Micah Parsons could help Green Bay maybe get second or third in the division, because I thought the Lions are so talented on both sides of the ball. There's almost no way that they regress as much without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Like, just there's so much talent there. How could you waste that? How could you not play good with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams? And I think there's 2 answers. One, obviously, Ben Johnson leaving, and then the limitations of Jared Goff. You're seeing it right now. He can only get you so much. And other than that, the floor is Daniel Jones. And I like Jared Goff because I've seen a lot of success from him, but he does not win you games, and you saw it in this one. He struggled. I felt like every time he was going to drop back, it was going to be incomplete before it even happened. And look, this Packers defense looked great. They did exactly what they needed to do in the offseason. They needed an alpha edge rusher, and they got it with Parsons, and that looks really good. And I think that now my NFC North outlook is much different. I really do think that it's up for grabs for anyone, because if Ben Johnson leaves and immediately goes to the Bears and the Lions look this bad, I really think that the Bears could take a gigantic leap. Because if it's just Johnson leaving for the offense and it looks that stagnant, he clearly has a huge role there. And that is why they look so bad. And I'm very happy. I'm very excited to watch Bears-Vikings tonight. I think it'll be a very, very good game. And I'm very excited to see this offense under Ben Johnson, especially now that I see how bad the Lions are doing without him. And another thing, Aaron Glenn leaves and he goes to the Jets. And the Jets also looked really good. And then the Lions defense didn't look that good either. And I don't know. It's I'm very, very surprised because of the talent of how poor the Lions played against the Packers. And I think the Packers could win it. The Lions could still win it. The Vikings could come in if J.J. McCarthy just seems to be the next Jaden Daniels, the next rookie who's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. Or even the Bears. So this is completely, I thought there was at least some order to this. I really didn't think the Lions could lose the number 1, but I think that now it's up for grabs. I've seen a little bit more of the Lions post Ben Johnson, post Aaron Glenn, and it's not good. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to talk about, though. Mostly just how worried I am about the Eagles. They signed Zadarius Smith, which is huge. I think that's going to help a lot. And a lot of Eagles fans are saying, they remind them of 2 seasons ago where we were we were winning close games, but we weren't really blowing people out. The offense looked weird. I want to see more from Kevin Patullo. I think that the lack of A.J. Brown production was, I think he might have been hurt, and, maybe they didn't want to get him involved, or I really don't know, but we won. And I think that Hurts took what the defense gave him, and he did a great job. So I'm not too worried. It's not like Hurts went out there and there was no one open, so he was just throwing picks. He was, going through his reads, getting open, and being able to scramble and be effective. So, yeah. And then the defense played great in the second half, so I'm not super worried. Besides Adoree Jackson, I'm very, very worried about that cornerback 2 spot. So, but yeah, if you want to see our week 2 predictions, head on over to the Couch TikTok. I'll be uploading 2 videos. One will be the first half of games, and then the second will be the second half of games. But yeah, head over there. It'll be up probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, probably Wednesday. And But yeah, thank you guys for watching or listening, and we'll see you next week.
This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine, published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound towards experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.